Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today we're going to talk about whether overlanding is dead. I keep seeing people posting videos on YouTube, making comments on Facebook groups and things like that, and they're all saying, overlanding boomed in COVID and now it's dead. Thank God. Oh, get these people out of the woods, right? It was overpopulated and now it's good. So today I keep seeing these things and I wanted to kind of weigh in on this, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about whether overlanding is dead and whether I agree with that sentiment. What does it really mean, right? When we say overlanding is dead, a lot of you people watching this are probably going, wait, I love overlanding. I like going out and doing multi-day trips. I like living out of my vehicle, basically. I like camping. Even if it's just an overnighter, maybe not technically overlanding, but I like to do it and I have just as much passion as I did years ago when I started, right? So again, today I'm going to be touching on that. I'm going to give you my opinions, my thoughts on whether overlanding is dead or not. I'm going to talk a little bit about some anecdotal evidence that I've got from my large Facebook group that I've run for the last couple of years that is specifically dedicated to newbies getting into overlanding. So I've got some good data to back up my opinions here, but we're going to talk about that on today's episode of the podcast. So if you want to hear more about whether overlanding is really dead, stay tuned.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you gave to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys, so if you can see me, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Spotify, I'm out in the woods right now. I'm actually out camping. I'm going to be out here for 3 days, so I'm going to be fully dependent on my vehicle. I've got my awning set up. I've got my dual battery system running. I've got my fridge going. I'm going to run a diesel heater tonight. So, I mean, I'm fully self-sufficient, right? I brought enough food for the whole weekend. I brought water. I brought all the things that I'm going to need. So, again, would a 3-day trip be considered overlanding? I don't know. I mean, it's to my local national forest. It's a couple hours from my house. I had to get here. I had to, bring gas. I had to bring extra diesel. I had to bring battery banks and things like that I need to kind of keep everything running so that I can subsist out here. And I'm also working. So I brought a computer and I've been doing that. I've got a table set up and I've been doing some work stuff. So that kind of brings me to this whole idea that overlanding is dead. I personally am trying to do it more and more. I'm trying to get out, and even if I have to work, even if I have things going on, I still want to do it, but I want to do it while I'm, relying on my vehicle and out in nature, enjoying myself and away from sort of the stresses and the everyday stuff that gets in the way of relaxing. So as I mentioned, there's all these videos that are talking about overlanding is dead. There are some bigger channels that are saying things like, thank God overlanding is dead. And I can understand that sentiment if you're, out west, if you're in Moab and, those big sort of target destinations where people like to go. I totally get that when you have a flood of people come in, especially when you have a flood of people come in that don't really know what they're doing. They're not really skilled off-road drivers. They've never really done it before. Maybe they just spent a bunch of money on a rig and outfitted it or paid someone to outfit it. And then they've just sort of shown up in your home state and they start wrecking trails or getting off trail or not packing out their stuff. So again, this is nothing bad about the people that are saying overlanding is dead. It's just a trend that I've noticed, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on it. So first of all, let's discuss a little bit, is overlanding even actually dead? And, again, a lot of these videos cite COVID times. There were a ton of people getting into overlanding at that point, like in droves, right? Like if you look at Google Trends, and you search for the term overlanding, you will see like kind of a steady growth from like 2010 up to 2020. And then 2020, it's a hockey stick, right? It just goes straight up. And you see a ton of people there. And then again, talking just things that I've seen, you see now a lot of people selling rigs. I saw just the other day, I saw this really nicely built Tacoma with like a supercharger and fully built with a cap and or a slide-in camper or something crazy like that for like $90,000. He put like 2,000 miles on it and he was selling the whole thing. So, I think there are a lot of people that get really excited. They watch these YouTube videos, they listen to these podcasts and things. And like me, they get really excited, but then they go out and they're like, oh, this is not what I expected. It's not as magical as it looks in the YouTube videos, right? Like some of my friends that make amazing videos like Will from Venture to Rome or Caleb from Baker Overland or Rob from Revere Overland or, there's a million of them. I'm sorry, guys, if I didn't list you. There's a ton of them in there. There's so many of them that I just don't have time to list them all out. But they make these amazing videos and it's like you watch watch these and you're like, I want to do that, right? I want to go explore the Owyhees with Will, right? I want to see these beautiful sights. I want to camp in these beautiful places. But what people don't think about is sometimes there's hours and hours or days and days of driving to get from one place to another. Sometimes it's not beautiful. Sometimes you get stuck and you get trail damage. You might damage your vehicle. So when you go out and you spend a ton of money on a vehicle and then you potentially get body damage, or you get out there and you find out that your setup isn't as good as you thought, you don't have stuff to cook, you forgot something, right? There's so many things that can go wrong, and being prepared only goes so far, especially if you're newer to it and you just don't know what you're doing. So I think there's a lot of, you could call it sticker shock, or maybe not sticker shock, although some people I think look at overlanding and go, wow, that guy had to spend a bunch of money on his truck or whatever, right? Like, and I don't want to spend that kind of money. But there are also people that think that it's like the videos, and then once they get into actual overlanding, then they realize, oh, there's a lot of like just tedious driving, right? There's a lot of, you get stuck somewhere. And a good example, a couple of years ago when I first got in this new frontier of mine, we were in Hoosier National, which is like just a gravel road. There's nothing trail wise in here. I somehow put myself in a mud hole that tilted my truck 30 degrees to passenger. And I was actually worried that I was going to roll the thing. We had been leaving the trail that we were on and saying, let's just go to camp early. Let's just set up and drink some bourbon and just hang out, right? And this was about 2:00 in the afternoon. Well, about 6:00, it was getting dark, and we were finally able to pull my truck out of there. So like, that's the stuff that people just don't think about. I don't think that people realize how much work can go into actually doing some of this exploring that we do, right? Like going out and hitting trails and stuff is not all just glamorous, beautiful drone shots. Sometimes it takes some actual work and some tedious driving and miscommunications and flubs and trail damage and pinstripes. And there's so many things that come with overlanding that people just don't think about or don't realize or aren't aware of. So, but again, bringing it back to the topic of, is overlanding dead? I definitely do agree that it is dying down, I feel like. And, while some people delight in that, I get that. Again, I'm not from out west. In Indiana, you can always find a spot. I live in the Midwest, so it kind of sucks here, if I'm being completely honest. Feel free to agree in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or disagree. But, there's just not that much here. And even with more people getting into it, it's still not crazy, right? It's not like there are just no spots ever because there's all these idiots out here that are just taking up all the spots and throwing all this trash behind. I think we have a lot of trash problems in Hoosier National Forest. And unfortunately, I think the majority of those come from locals. They come from people that just like pop out here from 20 minutes away and they just get hammered on Bud Light and then they throw all their cans in the fire. But I don't really think it's overlanders. I think most overlanders are pretty good about packing in and packing out. But so I don't have to worry about that as much from like is there going to be capacity for me to camp? So again, I don't experience that as much. And really it kind of makes me more sad that, during COVID was right after, maybe a year or two after I started my YouTube channel. And I was so excited. The channel was growing and like I was making new friends and I was talking to new people all the time and seeing different setups and seeing all kinds of cool stuff, right? And there were so many people getting excited about it. And so it does sort of suck that it's slowed down a little bit, just because I feel like the hobby is kind of slowing down, right? But I definitely don't feel like it's dying. But so maybe you're asking yourself, well, Jason, why? What data do you have, right? What evidence, what opinions, where are your opinions coming from? And it's snowing now, so sorry if you're watching me on video. It's kind of chilly out here today, but I'm out. This is how much I love it. I'm out here in the snow. It's going to be in the 20s tonight. It's going to be great. But so here's the data that I've got to back this up. So I run this group called Newbie Overlanders. There's a link in the description down below. It's awesome. We've got almost 23,000 people in there, and I only started it like two and a half years ago. So in two and a half years, we've got 23,000 people that have signed up to say, hey, I'm a newbie overlander. I want a place where I can be supported, where I can ask questions, where I can learn how to do it right, how to set up a rig, what gear I should use for this and that. And I probably let in about 150 to 250 people a week. And I do that one by one. I vet them all. I glance at them. I check how long they've been on Facebook and stuff. There's a couple questions they have to answer. So it's not a super easy process either, right? It's not just like bots are signing up. This isn't a public group. This is a private group. So you have to fill out questions. You have to answer questions, and you have to be a real person, and you have to be admitted into the group. So based on that data, again, what I see every week is all these new people joining. And then those people, when they get in, we welcome them, and then they post up and they say, hey, here's my 2002 Silverado that I'm building for overlanding. Here's my brand new Defender that I'm building for overlanding. Here's my, 30-year-old Honda Element that I'm building for overlanding. I don't think they made Honda Elements 30 years ago, but close. Early 2000s, I think. But so there is a ton of people that are just now getting into it, people that are just now finding it. And while it is slowing down, I think, since COVID, just as a matter of fact, right? Like it's even for me who loves overlanding and goes as much as I possibly can, even if it's snowing, I still don't get out as much as I did in the 2020 to 2024 range, right? Like when we were all working from home and no one asked any questions, you could go out and you could, have enough reception to work from your hotspot on your phone from the woods. And I was doing that 2-3 days a week if I could, So has it slowed down? Yes. Is that a good thing? If you're out west and stuff, maybe. Overall, I think it's a little sad personally because I love overlanding. I have a bunch of friends that I've made from overlanding. We go camping. There's a couple of them meeting me here this weekend to hang out, and they become some of my best friends, right? And so there's just a ton of growth to happen from that. I've become a better driver. I've become more confident in my abilities handling my truck with all this gear on it, right? I'm better at driving off-road. I'm better at driving in the snow, in the mud. Like when people get stuck in their yards and they ask me to come over, I've got a winch, I've got a jump starter. I can help my neighbors. I can help my family members because I'm better prepared. When we go to sporting events, back when my kids played soccer, I had a fridge in my truck. So we would throw drinks and water and food in there and sandwiches and stuff. And we'd go out and go to the soccer event and be there for 4 to 6 hours right during the day, and my truck was outfitted so we could take all that food and keep it cold. I had a dual battery so we could charge up people's devices if they needed to. I could throw the awning out if we wanted to and be ready to go. I've got some battery powered fridges that we would take. So overlanding itself is not just restricted to going on a camping trip, right? There are other benefits that come from overlanding. So that is the one thing that I am a little bit sad about, is that as I noticed that overlanding does slow down, I don't think at all that it's dead. I think that it is vibrant. I think that it's growing. I think if anything, you've got more people that are going to be more loyal and more of long-term overlanders. And what I mean by that is not so much that they're like loyal to overlanding, but just that these aren't just casual people that are overnight, right? They're not just like looking and like, oh, I should probably go camping because there's nothing else to do. These people that are getting into it now really want to check it out, right? They have other things that they could be doing, other hobbies that they could be doing, but instead they're checking out overlanding. So I think those people that are joining newbie overlanders, that are commenting in these Facebook groups and stuff, those people are people that will stick with it longer and at a higher percentage than the folks that joined during COVID. So, has the total number of people dropped? I would say so. I definitely think it's slowed down since COVID, but has the quality of those people that are joining the hobby of overlanding improved? I definitely think so. I think that there are more people that are really into it, really want to get into it, really love the idea of exploring, love the idea of sort of roughing it and overcoming those obstacles and those challenges and things like that come with long distance trips, that come with finding locations in dispersed camp spots that are kind of challenging or could be taken up. And then you have to problem solve and find a new spot, right? So I think that while it has slowed down, I don't think overlanding is dead. And I think that it is continuing to grow at a really healthy pace. And I'm excited about that. So that will do it for this episode of the podcast. Want to hear from you guys. If you're on YouTube, post up in the comments down below. If you're on Spotify, you should see a spot to comment down below. If you were just listening on a podcast, though, there are links to all my social channels down below, as well as that Newbie Overlanders group that I mentioned. So if you want to join those groups and kind of talk about this stuff, we'd love to have you there. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to think. Also in the description down below will be a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog, or I hate people so I camp. All of these things come from my life. They're all true to me. I don't want to burn my wiener, and I also hate people, so I do like to go camping quite a bit. So check those out if you're looking for some funny patches and stickers to outfit your rig. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a join button down below this video, which is just kind of a passive way to support the channel, and it also gets you early access to the videos in these podcasts. So if that sounds good, check that out. And then there's also a link to my Patreon group, which is awesome. We've got 20-some people in it right now, and it's growing every day. We've got a 24/7 Discord where we chat about our gear and our rigs and things like that. We share memes and stuff. We also do a once-a-month Zoom call where we all kind of chat and drink a beer and just kind of hang out. And then we're trying to get together once or twice or maybe more every year just to meet up and sit around a fire and hang out. So if that sounds good, check that out. But again, that will do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys and girls, and we will see you next time.